2012, and I have outside of education, which is tied to education, I really have a passion for financial wealth, generational wealth, financial literacy. So not too many classes that you're going to go through on this next 4 years, 3 years, or however many years are really going to talk about how do you build yourself financially for your own self, paying off student debt, also generation. When I say generational wealth, that means money and things for your grandchildren, your grandchildren's children, all of that. So tonight is going to be very important, so you can learn some key nuggets from two important speakers that we have tonight. I want to do the introduction. Byron will do the introduction in a second. But before I do the introduction to Byron, I want to play a short clip that will give a synopsis of what tonight will kind of be about. Now, very culturally relevant. Who's familiar with Nipsey Hussle?
A little bit.
Okay, and everyone pretty much knows the tragedy that just happened. So, one thing why his death is really awakening the people is because of his passion for building wealth for people from underserved communities, people from impoverished backgrounds, African American people, low income backgrounds. So one thing he wanted to do is build more opportunity for this community. So I'm going to play this brief clip. This is his first interview ever.
Oh, ever?
But he ain't still doing. Well, you What's your name, man? You doing upcoming, but you have to sell it. What's your name? Where you from?
My name is Nipsey Hussle. I'm from LA. So I'm fresh over here. You know.
Okay, well, Nipsey Hussle, that's named after Nipsey Russell, the comedian, correct?
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about yourself, man. What brings you up here, up and coming, and how come you're not blinging and having all kind of crazy diamonds and all that? I guess you're here to get your money right.
All the time. I mean, all that is cool for the image and all that, but all them is liability. You feel me? I'd rather invest in some real estate. You know what I'm saying? So
wait, can you repeat that again, man? You're up and coming artist. What did you say you want to do?
I said invest in some assets as opposed to trick off my money on some liabilities like diamonds. You know what I'm saying? Cars that lose value, so you drop them off the lot.
So you're trying to get land.
Exactly. A real asset, take care of my people, because it look good, but at the end of the day, you lose value. I mean, it ain't appreciated, it's depreciated.
What do you think? Why do you think it's so hard for people to get that message? I mean, one hand you get guys that say they got to impress the females, ain't trying to talk too much and bling down. On the other hand, you got other people feel like they got to show up to the homies and impress them with their riches. I mean, what do you think is there? How do we get that out of that mindset?
Man, I feel like that's insecurity. A material thing ain't nothing. You feel me? At the end of the day, it's who you is. You wasn't born with it, you gonna die without it. So if you feel you need some diamonds or some jewelry to get out of a female, it's because you feel you lack something within yourself. You know what I mean? So all that, as far as that angle, it's like I feel that's insecurity.
Talk a little bit about yourself, man. You out here.
All right, so that is pretty much give you the point. You want to hit lights again or something? So real estate is one avenue to financial freedom. There's many more different opportunities too. But this is very important because one thing for certain that pretty much every student in this room will graduate with is a degree, but also what's the other thing that you graduate that starts with a D? What? Debt. And everybody wants a job, right? A high-paying job? Yeah. Okay. So sometimes even with the high-paying job, it's still hard to pay off the debt that you incurred while you're here. So tonight you might get some ideas, you might get some advice, learn some things about our two speakers' journey that might help you manage that debt or even build financial freedom, even another career path for you. So I'm going to first introduce Byron Sims. Mr. Byron Sims is a grad student here at Eastern. He graduates this month. Byron from Detroit, River Rouge High School, right?
No, Old Redford.
Old Redford, yeah. Yep, Old Redford. I met Byron maybe sophomore year. Always was about his business. Him and a couple of his friends that also, I had the fortunate opportunity to be a part of their life and help them out along the way. Byron was a mentor for the program I ran once. And now he's doing great things managing the Brotherhood program. He has future aspirations, some aspirations for real estate, also even working at a higher ed campus or even doing other things to help out people. So Byron Sims is our moderator for the night. Thank you, Byron, and you have the show now.
All right, first I want to say, first thanks Eric for that introduction. I want to say let's clap it up for E for throwing this event. Just to give y'all a little background on E been my mentor since sophomore year, a few years now, and he does remarkable work. There's not too many administrators on this campus that's going to put together a financial literacy workshop. And if they do put together a financial literacy workshop, for the most part, it's going to be about student loans or financial loans, as far as dealing with how to get a loan. They're not going to give you the principles to build generational wealth and to change those things. So this is something he introduced me to. He was one of the first people to introduce me to financial literacy topics and give me a better insight on what that looks like. Next, if I was to ask 10 people, as far as how many of those people, or if I did a survey of a random survey of 10 people, ask those 10 people, how many of those people want to become a millionaire? How many people you think would say, yes, I want to become a millionaire out of those 10?
10.
So 10 out of 10 would say they want to become a millionaire, right? However, how many of those people are coming to workshops like these? How many people are putting in work like this? I want all y'all to give it up for yourselves for coming attending this event. With that being said, we have informative and should be an exciting night for y'all. We have EMU alumni from Detroit with more than 10 years of real estate experience. He has been a part of more than $50 million worth of real estate transactions and ranked as one of the top selling brokers in Detroit, Michigan. He is the owner of Rich Realty, a nonprofit, and is the author of the book, A Guide to Making Millions in the Real Estate Industry. With no further ado, I present our keynote speaker for the night, Mr. Nissan Robinson.
Thank you for having me.
So we just want to start off, far as you just want to give, you have anything else you want to add, far as about yourself, or you just want to dive right into the questions?
Get into the meat and potatoes of it.
Okay. So, Mr. Robinson, Mr. Robinson has his bachelor's degree in science. What made you get into real estate with a bachelor's degree in science?
Well, what made me get into real estate, I got into real estate with my sister. She introduced me and my whole family to real estate. But what made me submerge myself into real estate is when I found out 80% of the world's millionaires got their millions from real estate in some form or fashion. Once I found out that, I said, oh, wait, stop. You mean to tell me that 20% is the NBA, the NFL, the Major League Baseball, the hockey, the actors, the singers, the dancers, the magicians, the other entrepreneurs who do different things. Everybody's in this 20% bubble, and everybody else, is in the 80%. I scratched my head. I said, oh, I'm about to submerge myself into real estate. So that's why I should submerge myself in real estate.
Yes. So who taught you about real estate? Who was your mentor, and how did you go about finding a mentor to teach you about the financial literacy components of becoming or of getting into the real estate industry?
Well, I had two mentors in real estate. The first one was my sister. My sister, like I said, she taught me myself and my whole family real estate. Before her, I really didn't know how real estate operated too much, vaguely. But she started buying houses, being a landlord. She was buying them and buying them, and got to the point she needed a property manager, and she hired me to do, And so that was my introduction. When I submerged myself in real estate, I went and joined, I became a real estate agent, a realtor, and I joined traditional realty. And the broker, when I joined, the late great Lonzo Young was 82 years old, so you can learn a lot. And so I joined his brokerage only because he told me that he would mentor me as a real estate broker, not as a real estate agent, and teach me all that he learned over his 50 plus years in real estate. So he was my second mentor.
Okay, so we gotta rewind back. Mr. Robinson, what is real estate?
Okay, real estate is houses, of course, but it could be a vacant lot, And when people understand, when you buy a house, apartment building, which is all real estate, commercial properties, this is real estate where we in. Everywhere you walk, everywhere you take a step is real estate because someone's owns it. And when you own it, you also own the mineral rights, meaning underneath, if it's gold down there or if it's oil, you own that, as well you own the air rights above as well.
Okay. What did you learn most from college?
How to party. How to party, how to eat pizza, you know. But no, I learned discipline in college because to be honest with you, kudos to you. And to start college, y'all all know when y'all start your freshman year, so many people start, but only a few actually walk the stage, you know. So it's a big, you know, thing to actually start and finish college, and they teach you discipline, how to start something and actually finish it.
Why do you, where's the disconnect? Why do you think so many people feel as if they can reach financial freedom from a 9-to-5 job or even career?
I think people don't know no better, to be honest with you. I really think they don't know no better because the school don't teach you school don't teach you nothing about financial literacy at all. They teach you how to go get a job. And so people are programmed by nature, we do what we see. So people, even for the ones who graduate, they go get a job because they know that's what they see. So we program. People not programmed to actually understand how to make money work for you and get passive income and, you know, things. They don't teach you none of that in college. I didn't get not one lesson of that. That's why it's so great what Eric's doing. You know, with this, and y'all understand the blessing y'all having to have someone to come back and tell you, look, I'm gonna give you the meat and potatoes of this is more important than the classes y'all taking. Trust me, you know, this right here is more important than class. The classes don't teach you this stuff. This is really important.
What was your biggest distraction on your path towards success?
Girls when I was in college, you know, but I mean, after graduating college and being grown, I say my biggest distraction was, to be honest with you, everybody wanted things overnight, and I was the same. I wanted it overnight. I didn't want to wait. I wanted, you know, what can give it to me the fastest? And I looked at in the African American communities, what can give you fastest? I first was trying to be in the NBA, you know, to become a millionaire. That didn't work, and I started rapping. You know, I want a record deal. You know what I'm saying? I wanted it overnight. I wanted everything overnight. I wanted my big house. I wanted my cars. I wanted everything overnight. And that was the biggest distraction, knowing that this is going to be a process. This is not going to come easy, and it's not going to come fast. This is something you're going to have to take your mentor, just like in your degree, didn't come fast. It took years and years and years. It's going to take years and years and years for you to make a plan and execute the plan to actually be financially literate and be well off and be in a predicament where you call yourself a millionaire.
So sorry about that, y'all, to further explain. So I got a few questions I'm going to ask, and any questions y'all have, we're going to say to the end, and y'all can get off any questions y'all have. So just park your questions in your brain for a minute. Mr. Robinson, what are the pros and cons of renting versus owning a home versus we have college students in here currently that stand in the dorm. So can you talk about the differences between renting an apartment, staying in a college dorm, and actually owning your home?
Okay. When you rent, you are just occupying real estate for a limited time, then you leave that property. You have no attachment to that property. When you own, you have a permanent attachment to that property. When you lease, you are responsible to maintain that property the same condition that you got the property. If it's a house you lease, it will be in a lease where you gotta cut the grass, shovel the snow, and things like that. Added, you know, things that you have to do. But when you're the owner, you are responsible for the insurance on the property. You're responsible for if something breaks down, the structure of it. If the roof, you know, if it's a hole, you got to go and put a new roof or a patch roof. If the furnace go out, you got to go repair the furnace. If the hot water tank go out, those are your responsibilities as an owner. These are not your responsibilities as a tenant.
So what advice would you give to college students right now that's currently staying in the dorm? What advice would you give them? Would you recommend them to go rent an apartment, save up to own a home, or stay in the dorm until they're done with their college career? I
recommend you guys get home ownership as quickly and as fast as possible. Home ownership is the key to financial freedom. Because what happens is once you get a home, your goal is to get a home and get that home paid off. And have that home paid off where you have no monthly rent. But you psychologically still treat yourself like you paying rent, and then let's just say $1,000. You just pay $1,000 for rent. And now your home is paid off. You take that same $1,000 you put in a savings account. In 2 years, you look up, that's $24,000 that you have where you could go buy a fixer-upper, fix it up, and rent out. Now you keep paying yourself that $1,000 off on the side. Now you got 10 paying you $1,000. In 1 year now, you're getting $24,000 instead of 2. And then you keep duplicating with the second house, the third, fourth. You look up, you got all these houses paid out in shorter amount of time. And when you go hire a realtor like myself, I'm coming and saying, oh, the market went up over these 8 years of you getting these 9 properties. This house is now worth 110. This one's worth 90. This one's worth 200. This one's worth 80. You look up and you do the numbers and you look up and say, wow, I'm a millionaire. It all starts with that one house. You gotta get that one house you own outright, so you can start tricking yourself and act like you're still paying a rent, but just put in savings, And in 2 years, you could be able to go and buy a fixer-upper and, get rent from that one. In a short amount of time, you can get your third one, then your fourth, and so on. So definitely, the fastest thing you wanna do is become a homeowner as quick, as fast as possible. Let that be your matrix, your formula to start off, getting your financials in order to excel.
So you said you wanna or lead them, they should be going towards the direction of home ownership. So what does that look like as far as what do you need to purchase a home? What do you have to purchase a home?
Cash. You gotta have cash. And if you don't have the cash, you gotta have someone who's willing to loan you the cash, like a bank, a credit union, a lending institution who will loan you the funds. It's called getting a pre-approval letter from them saying we'll loan you XYZ, and that loan is called a mortgage when you get a home. So it's also another way to do it is a land contract, and that's actually when the seller actually finance you instead of a typical lending institution like a bank or credit union or something like that.
Okay, so you said get a loan. How do I get a loan? What do I need to get a loan?
You got first, if you're getting a loan, you need to get your credit. Get your credit score. Depending if you're going FHA is a federally backed loan. Conventional is not. A conventional loan is when the actual lending institution is loaning their funds. It's backed by them. FHA is a loan that the institutions can give out, but if you default, they still get a check along with SAM, so it's easier to get. So your credit score can be lower for FHA. You need to be higher if you get a conventional, and you need to have income for 2 years, and you file your income tax 2 years. So all you need to have is 2 years of income taxes showing that you made what you made for 2 years. They're gonna take them 2 years, put them together, 24 months, they're gonna divide them 24 months up, and they're gonna look and see your debt to income, see what you got going out, and they're gonna make your mortgage not be more than 40% of what you bring in. They'll tell you how much they'll approve you for off that. So once your credit is above a 600, and you have 2 years of income taxes, you can now go and get you a home.
How do young college students start the process of building credit?
You could too, they trying to throw you guys credit cards. When my freshman year, they was on campus. You get a basketball, sign up for a credit card. You get $5, sign up for a credit card. You sign up for the credit cards, but don't abuse them credit cards. What you want to do, this is how you get good credit. Credit is just essentially to show your ability to pay back over a period of time. So what you want to do, if you get a $500 credit card, what you want to do is never go over 40%. So you get a $500 credit card, go charge $150 on that credit card and make the minimum payments. And just keep making the minimum payments. Your credit score will start to go up because you're showing, I can pay back a loan. I can pay back a debt. And your credit will actually go up. People think if I get a credit card and I charge $150 and end of the month I pay $150, that's good. That's not good. You're not showing that over time you can pay back a debt. You want to show over time that you can pay back a debt. So get the credit card. And when you get the credit card, don't charge over 40% and pay just the minimum they're asking for. Why you want to pay the minimum? Because you want to pay over a long period of time. You want to show every month you're paying on time, you're paying on time, you're paying on time. And your credit will start every month. Your credit will keep jumping. That's by far the fastest way to do it. Another way you could do it, if you can't get a credit card, ask someone who loves you to put you on their credit card as an authorized user and tell them I don't even want a credit card, I just want to be on there as an authorized user. And if they keep making their payments on time, that still increase your credit score. And your credit score still go up. So those are 2 ways to get your credit score up the fastest. One, you do it, and if you can't do it, get someone else to do it. And the other way you can do it, if you think you can't do it, is even to get what you call a secure credit card, where you actually pay them $500 and they give you a credit card that's worth $500. Same thing, charge $150 and $20 every month, and over time they show that you can pay, and your credit will go up.
Okay. So just to give everyone in here something more tangible, so they can visualize it.
Mm-hmm.
When you say FHA loan compared to conventional loan, let's say we have somebody in here that's looking at a $100,000 house.
Mm-hmm.
What is the difference between the FHA loan option and the conventional loan option? What would be the difference in what they would have to, how much money they would need to come with? And just in general, what is the differences between the FHA loan and the conventional standard loan?
The difference between an FHA loan and conventional loan, one difference is an FHA loan stop at $279,000. If you wanna buy a house and it costs more than $279,000, you gotta go conventional. You're in the big boy leagues now. And your credit need to be in order. You want that big house, your credit need to be in order. Yeah. FHA, Uncle Sam was like, I ain't backing that. You want that big house, you should have got your credit in order. And let them back that. I ain't, you default on that, I'm not cutting that check. That's one of the biggest things is FHA got to cut off, conventional don't. When you see people getting $30 million homes, and Jay-Z and Beyonce bought like an $88 million home. They put 20% down, they financed the rest. The rest of that loan they took out, that was a conventional. That was a bank saying, look, we get put up 60 million, and you pay us this over time. It was a conventional loan. That's the FHA ain't going no $60 million. Uncle Sam going back up. That's the biggest thing. The second thing is FHA got a little more nuances that has to be done. Like the house has to be move-in ready. You know, the furnace and hot water tank is installed, everything properly. Conventional don't. Conventional, you could be buying a fixer-upper to flip, and you're like, look, I'm gonna flip this home. I just want you, you know, to loan you money. They look at your credit and say, okay, great. You know, they take a chance on you. Uncle Sam will say, no, I want the home perfectly in everything, move-in ready. So those are two biggest differences between a conventional and an FHA.
Okay. Is the FHA loan typically more for economically disadvantaged people so far as does the FHA loan provide the 5% down payment compared to the 20% conventional?
Absolutely. That's also a difference. FHA is designed for lower income. You only got to put down 3%. 3% down.
So can you explain what that means on a $100,000 house?
That means $3,000. That means instantly you got $3,000 you got to put down. You got to get some equity into the house. So FHA is like, okay, if it's a $100,000 house, we want 3% down. Get some equity into the home. So that means $3,000 you got to put up. A part is going to be your closing costs along with other closing costs, but that 3% is going to be there. Conventional is the minimum start at 5%, all the way up to 20%, standard. But conventionals don't go as low as 3%. They stop at 5.
Okay. So we have to bring student loan debt into the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Can I purchase a house with student loan debt, and how can I use real estate to pay off my student loan debt?
Yes, you can, but your student loan debt can't be in default, because you gotta understand, if your student loan debt is in default, you about to owe Uncle Sam. But Sally Mae and Freddie Mac and all them, that's Uncle Sam. You know, that's Uncle Sam. And if you're trying to get an FHA, guess who's backing that? Uncle Sam. It's like you owe me money, come back saying, let me borrow some more money. I'm like, what? No, of course not. That's the same person. You can't owe him and then pay him and then come back and say, I want some more money for my house. He's like, no, I'm not doing it. Then if you go get conventional say, you didn't pay him. Why are you going to pay me? You're not. I'm not going to give it. So long as your student loans is not in default, you're okay. You can have student loans and still get a mortgage debt. They're going to use that as a part of your debt to income. When they deduct in how much bills you got going out, they're going to look at your student loan bill that you're paying every month. Like, okay, he pays $200 a month student loan. They're going to decrease that from the amount of income you have. But you can get a mortgage with student loans, absolutely.
Okay. I feel like we get it as consumers. We get into this word out here called interest. All right. So what is interest? If I owe $50 in student loan debt over the span of 30 years, how much will I end up paying? If I'm trying to buy a house for $50 over 30 years, how much extra will I be paying in interest? What is this word interest that's adding to what I already owe? What is that?
Interest is what someone's going to make off loan you the money. You get nothing for nothing. No one's going to loan you some money for nothing. So when they loan this money, they say, okay, listen, I'm going to loan you this $100,000 so you can get this home. But when I loan you this $100,000, I want you to pay me 4.5% interest every year, on this $100,000 and until it's paid off. And I'll let this amount go towards the principal, and that's the amount that you actually owe. So every time you're making a mortgage payment, a small amount will go towards the principal. Means that $100,000, if you pay $1,000, they might have out that $1,000, $100 going towards the principal. So now you owe $100,000. You made your first payment. You owe $99,900 because 100 went towards the principal. 900 went towards interest. In a mortgage, in the front part of the mortgage is heavy interest. In the back part of the mortgage is heavy principal. That's why people understand. Your parents could live in their house literally, your whole life, like your whole life, 22 years old, you come back from college, and mama's still talking about she got to pay off her house. You're like, Mom, y'all won't even have this house? Because in the beginning, she was paying so much interest on the back end when she actually really paying off her home. In the last 10 years is when people really are paying off their home. So when people get mortgages, typically mortgages are 30 years. People, the first 20 years are paying high interest. So, if they ever want to sell their home, they look up, I've been in my house 10 years and I bought it for $100,000. They will say, how much you owe? I owe $92,000. Like, how do you owe $92,000? You've been here 10 years. Because it was so heavy interest in the front of the mortgage. It's the back end where you actually start to knock down the principal. So these lending institutions going to say, hey, look, we're going to make sure we get our money up front. You know what I'm saying? After we get our money up front, the back end, the latter end, then you can start paying off the house and we'll deed it over to you. But that interest is actually how they're making their money.
What is the credit score would you recommend for everyone in this room to have when trying to go purchase a house?
600 or better. The moment somebody is willing to let you close on a house, take it. Take it. See, once you get a 600 or more, because once again, you want to run as fast as possible to get a home to hurry and try to pay that home off. So the quicker you can get that home and it's paid off, is the quicker you can start saving more, which can make you start investing more and can make you start getting passive income. The whole goal is to get passive income. Understand this, no one will, I'm gonna say, it's 99% chance you will never become a millionaire if you have to be everywhere to make every dollar. If you gotta be there to make the money, you'll never become a millionaire. You gotta get to a point where you're making money in your sleep. And to make money in your sleep, you gotta have passive income. Passive income is money you're making while you're not there. And it's a lot of ways to make passive income. When you're a landlord, you're making passive income. Someone's paying you $1,000 a month. You divide $1,000 down in 30 days. You can say, okay, I'm making, this amount. Then you say, you divide from 30 days to how much you're making a day. You say, okay, I'm making this amount. And you divide the days to hours to minutes, and literally every minute, your net worth is going higher and higher and higher. And the more passive income you have, the more you make. So literally when you go to bed, you wake up richer than when you went to bed. That's the whole goal. You gotta be able to go to bed worth one amount and wake up worth more. If you can't get that wheel starting to turn for you, you'll obviously become a millionaire slim to none. You gotta hit the Powerball, lottery, inheritance, or a lawsuit. That's what you gotta put yourself in. Being a landlord's one, it's a lot of ways. You can get a gumball machine. You can go buy a gumball machine, go to a barber shop, hair salon, say, I see this gumball machine in the corner. Somebody gonna say no, somebody gonna say no. Eventually somebody say, I don't care, put it there. And you put gumballs in there. You just started a business. You just are now starting to get passive income. Because guess what? When you're not at that barber shop, you somewhere else doing whatever, making money, somebody put a quarter and they turn that down, you just made some money. Your net worth just went up higher. So you now making passive income. So think of more and more ways to keep doing that. So you got one gumball machine, get 30 of them through the city. And guess what? Every time when somebody turn, you're making more and more money, more and more money. So guess what? When you go to bed, you wake up, you go home, take a nap, you went to bed worth $100, you woke up worth $105. Your net worth went up. And the more you get passive income, the bigger the numbers you get. When you go to bed worth $100,000, now you waking up, you worth $102. You went to bed worth 1.8 million, woke up worth 1.8 and 50,000. Whatever the case may be, this is what you have to do. This is the key to being rich. If you want to be, there's no way around it. Everyone who is a millionaire has passive income, and if they don't, they got their money 99% chance from inheritance, lottery, or a lawsuit recipient. If not, the people who actually are self-made, they got passive income.
So everything you hit on, it resonates with me on a profound level. Me and my roommate, in a time span of 4 years, we spent close to $50,000 on renting an apartment. So I'm only 25 years old. So basically, we put in over $50,000 of money just paying for somebody else's lifestyle. Mm-hmm. So with that being said, a lot of times we get into those, we rent with friends, we rent apartments with friends, with brothers, maybe with our girlfriend, significant other or whatever. But when it comes to acquiring a home, we like to go in solo on that. What would you recommend? Would you recommend a partnership, or would you recommend when you were acquiring homes to go in just alone? You just want your name on the deed paperwork?
I recommend, God bless the child with his own. Do it yourself, do it yourself. Business and family it's a hard combination. Business and friends, that's a hard combination. I can't tell you how many houses I've sold two people who buddies, girlfriends, and was at a meeting of the minds at one point in life, and I'm getting a call, and how can you get this my name off, and she need to pay me, and I want her name, she ain't even paying the bill, I'm having to pay rent, paying taxes. I'm like, oh, well, it's both of y'all houses now. I need both of y'all to agree. You know, I can't just take her or you would even write her off, you know? And so I see that so many times because it's hard. Business is hard enough. And when you have a friendship, it's very few people can go in business with friends or family and it works. So I definitely recommend. God bless the child with his own. Do it yourself. Even if it takes a little longer, do it yourself. You know what I'm saying? Because you can't fire yourself. You can't get mad at yourself, you know, if you didn't pay your taxes. You know, I've seen people, they ain't foreclosed on the house. She said she was paying it down at the casino. Blew money at the casino. How I get my house back? You don't, you lost your house. You know, these stories I've really heard, you know, over my 10 years. I've heard these stories. So, you know, these things that you need to think about when, you know, you want to think about partnering up with someone.
Okay. What makes your company unique from others?
What makes my company unique from others is, one, we're a top 10 selling brokerage in Detroit, and we've been in the top 10 for now over 2 years now. And we're the smallest brokerage in the top 10, and we're the only minority brokerage in the top 10. So that's what makes us different. Everyone wants to know what we're doing to be in the top 10. And I made a system of it. I'm very good at analyzing things and seeing the breakdown and seeing, oh, we just need to do this and this and this and let people know this and this, and we'd be good. And when people come service them this way, we'd be good. And I taught all my agents that. And people wondering, how do we sell so many houses that we sell? It's 14 of us. And we finished last year 6 in Detroit in sales. And the year before that, we finished 7th in Detroit in sales. And this year, we're trying to crack the top 5. And people want to know, what are we doing? We're doing a system that I created. I created a phenomenal system. I can't say the system, but the system is a phenomenal system, you know, that I created. And that separates us by far everyone else. And a lot of brokers just want to know what we're doing to sell so many houses, because we don't got no banks giving us no properties, no hoods, you know, no Fannies, no Freddies, no nothing. No one's giving us anything. And we want to get out the mud. The hardest way to get it. So like, how y'all get out the mud this year? And you know, I got a way to get out the mud and wash it in.
So this is going to be my last question, and I'm going to open up questions for the audience. If you could go back into your college years, would you get a degree in a program dealing with real estate, or would you stick with your Bachelor of Science?
I would stick with my bachelor's in science because my degree, communications, well, my minor in business management. I just want to switch it up because I manage a business and run a business. I got to be an effective communicator. I deal with my agents every day. One come in my office, go walk out. It'll be a line. I'll look up, somebody waiting while somebody else sitting to talk to me. He get up and get out, he sit in, somebody else get there. If I'm not a great effective communicator, everything ends. You gotta understand, when you start a business, you are the buck stop at your desk. Everything that's done right is gonna be because of you, and everything that's done wrong is gonna be because of you. You're gonna have to effectively teach people who come in, who just got their real estate license, who want to sell, who really don't know anything about real estate. You're gonna have to teach them everything you know. And so you gotta be a very, very good, effective teacher, trainer, and to do that, you gotta communicate very well. And you need to know how to manage a business. So I think God was so good to put both of those, and I didn't even know, it just fell in that basket, to be honest with you. But I think, you know, what I got is perfect. I wouldn't change it for anything, you know.
You want to open it up to the audience? Okay. So the audience members, do y'all have any questions that y'all would like to ask? Anything that's you would like to get? While we have Mr. Robinson here. Jay?
I wrote one, but it's like, I said, if you're a homeowner and still at school, how do you pay for both the bills at the same time? Like, if I have the e-bill and also I still have to pay for my house, how do you pay for both of them at the same time?
Well, at the end of the day, if you ain't got the funds, you're not gonna be a homeowner while you're at school. The whole thing is as quickly as possible become a homeowner. Now, let's say, you know, you got a campus job and you work in the campus, you go hard in the campus. You're literally working full time. Cause I was in college at one point and I had a full-time job. I was a full-time student, I had a full-time job. For like 2 semesters in college, I was like when I say like 2 years, you know, I had like a full-time job. I was in Ann Arbor at a 10th place, but it was like full-time, you know. And if I worked there for like 8 months, then another year I worked there for like 10 months. Let's say I stayed there for the whole year, and I stayed there for another year. Now I got 2 income taxes that I can file showing that I worked a job, you know, and I make full-time money. I could have took both of those. I could have took my refund check when I got a refund check instead of partying and being a man stunned like, oh yeah, I'm a man, because I just got this $3,200 refund check. I could have took that $3,200 and went and had my closing costs to buy my first house. And when I got my first house, I could have moved from rent because I had to pay rent where I was at. And now I'm not paying rent, I'm paying my mortgage. See? So if you're in a predicament to do that, but all college students don't work. You know, I think majority of college students are just full-time students, you know, but they might have a part-time job at most. So you're not in a predicament really to do that. But if you are in a predicament, because there's people who have full-time jobs, and the sooner the better, go get that mortgage, because regardless you can be paying for where you live. You might as well have that going towards actually owning where you at, you know. So if you can, apply. Absolutely.
You had a question?
Yeah, well, my question was something you said, and this is for, like, maybe if a person don't know what you were talking about. This was, the gentleman had asked you what makes your company so successful, and you guys said something like, we don't depend on banks, fannies, and HUDs. So if people didn't know what you meant by that. Like,
Okay. Banks when banks own property is when banks have properties like the conventionals and they foreclose on someone, they got to get that house back and they have to sell it. They'll go and have partnership with real estate brokerages where all of our property we get back, we're going to let you list this property. And so a real estate company will literally, every day they walk in, they got 4 new houses that they get to list and sell and make money. Fannie is a Freddie Mac. When people foreclose on them FHAs that I talked about earlier, that falls into a Fannie Mae home, or y'all hear the most popular HUD homes. HUD homes is FHA loans that people defaulted and got foreclosed, and the government had to come and pay off that loan and take the property. When they take the property and put the property back on the market, that's not a HUD home. They still go out to real estate brokerages and do a partnership with them and give them those houses. So a real estate company could literally go in every single day and literally have 5 to 10 new houses, you know, which is more money that they can make. That's something that's generically, you know, a lot of the top brokerages have. We don't have that at Reach Rich Groups. No one's giving us anything. We don't come to the office every day and look at the computer and some entity, you know, they gave us houses to sell. We got to get out the mud, you know, with marketing.
I had a question. You said something about being a landlord.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people say that's kind of bad.
Mm-hmm.
What's your thoughts on that?
I'm a landlord. I've been a landlord for over 10 years. Time fly. It's pros and cons and everything. It's pros and cons and everything, you know. In my book, I got a whole chapter about landlords. And the one thing I can tell you is this. Don't ever be a landlord if you need the money. First rule of being a landlord is you can't need the money. Because what happens when you need the money and you and your wife and kids, you know, it's Christmas. It's December, and it's December roll around, and you like, okay, honey, once they pay me the rent, I'll be able to buy the kids their Christmas toys. And they say, they laid me off my job. I can't afford to pay your rent. Now y'all ain't got Christmas. You gonna think this is the worst thing ever to be as a landlord. My kids not getting Christmas because my tenant's not paying me the rent that I'm supposed to get, and you needed that money. So of course it's gonna be the worst thing in the world. But if you don't need the money and it's just an investment, if the money come in, great. If it don't come in, so be it. I write it off my taxes, and I still make money because I can take off a write-off as a loss I took, you know. So to me, it's a win-win on both sides. The negative to me about being a landlord is if you are a landlord and you're a landlord on the lower end, you're dealing with people that you wouldn't be dealing with in your life if it's not because of this property. This property is the only thing that's connecting you with someone that's a low income with a mental that your mental not on. So they don't know how to articulate themselves when they don't know when they can pay the rent. And people would lash out at you and want to cuss you out and things like that. It's like, you owe me money. How are you cussing me out? You know, and because they don't know how to articulate themselves and they come from poverty and they not educated, majority of them, you know? And so you are actually dealt to deal with these people. I think that's by far the worst case. I've seen situations where landlords end up getting in fights with their tenants, and I seen a case a few years ago where the tenants actually killed the landlord. So I think that's by far the worst part of being a landlord. Not the not getting paid and them calling saying fix the plumbing. It's you dealing with people that you won't be, a lot of times you wouldn't be dealing with if it wasn't for this house. But I strongly recommend still be a landlord. It's worth it. If you have a fear of the tenant, get a property management company. They're out there. They're like, they'll do it, you know. But definitely be a landlord. Add that in your portfolio. You want to be a landlord. You know, there's no way around it. You want that in your portfolio.
To piggyback off what he said briefly, as far as is being a landlord, is that a part-time or full-time position? You feel like, can I work my job in my field 40 hours a week and still be a landlord?
Absolutely. Up until a certain point. You got one house, yeah. You got two houses, yeah. You got three, okay. You got four, okay. You got 10, you got 20, no. Because it stopped becoming, you know, if they gonna call, it's when they gonna call. So once you get up to a certain number of properties, your phone's gonna keep ringing, it's gonna keep ringing, and you looking up, this is a job now. You have turned this to a job. You know, I've built up some of my investors' portfolio where investors got 300-400 houses. You think they come manage 300 or 400 houses? They phone dancing like a telephone. You know what I'm saying? So they gotta get a property manager or go full time and say, this is all I do. Of course my phone ring all day, but that's my job. So when you got a small amount of houses, you can do it yourself. But once you get to a threshold, you can handle it, get a property manager. And you will know it, because after you move to 4 houses, 5 houses, 10 houses, you will see how your phone rings, and you will start to say, this has become a headache. I want someone else to take away my headache. And that's what property managers do. They take away your headache as a landlord for a percentage of the profits, you know? So, but still, you still want to be a landlord. There's no way around it, you know? Yeah.
The question to go with that, would you recommend somebody just turn into a Section 8?
You can turn to Section 8, you know, that's good. You know, there's pros and cons to everything, though. I get a lot of investors come to me and say, I want to buy a property, I want you to find me only a Section 8 tenant. And that's cool. You know, you can do that, because the great thing is your money is guaranteed.
What is Section 8? Section 8, what is Section 8?
What is Section 8? Section 8 is a government voucher for people who can apply for low income, and they can actually go find a house, and the government will actually pay for their living expenses, you know, monthly over a period of time. And so someone maybe became homeless and they got children. They could go down to their social worker, and social worker say, apply for this, Section 8, get approved. And they say, you're approved for $1,000 a month, go find a house. And they have this voucher, and they go and say, you accept Section 8, you accept Section 8. And for landlords who do, they turn the voucher, they say, okay, I'm gonna go with you. They fill out the paperwork with the Section 8 people, and the house gotta go and get inspected. The house then pass inspection. Then the tenant can move in, sign a lease, and the landlord, on the first, like clockwork, your money is directed right into your account, or the check is being slid on your door by the mail lady on the first, like today, a lot of landlords got paid. And guess what? I still got in my portfolio like 6 houses, and 1 tenant paid, because they got into 3 days to pay. It's a grace period. But if it was Section 8, I would have all my money. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, that's a good thing. You guaranteed to get your money, you know, with the Section 8. Real fast, I'm gonna say a negative though. The negative is Section 8 people are known to destroy your houses because they ain't got no skin in the game. You know, think about it. When you go to work and you work hard, and you come home and you paying to be where you are, you gonna take care of where you at. I just work hard. I want my yard all grass all high and weeds and stuff like that. No, clean. I want to come home with something nice. I work hard to be here. But if you don't work hard to be there, you don't care. You don't care if that grass is high. I don't pay to be here. You know what I'm saying? Kids drawing on the wall. You don't care. I ain't paying to be here. You know? So the appreciation for the property in certain instances is less than someone who's actually working to be there.
Jay?
Kind of like 3 questions, but like, I was like, what's FHA? And then also just like the credit score, you said pay a minimum, but I'm thinking like, are you talking about like $30, something like that, 100? And, I'm a third.
Okay, first one was the FHA. FHA is a federally, loan. It's fairly backed loan. You got two type of loans. You got conventional and you got an FHA loan. FHA is backed by the government. It's the lower loan. You can have a credit score of 600 to get FHA loan. If you want a conventional, most conventional companies start at 670. So it's a way to get a loan on a lower end, and you only got to put down 3%. So that's what FHA is, an FHA loan. But what was your second question?
For you said when it comes to like credit score, you got 600. I was saying like.
That's where the lending starts.
Yeah, I know. I was just gonna ask like.
But you can real quick though. You could get a land contract with a homeowner, and homeowners might not even care what your credit score is. Because they know that you're coming to them because your credit score is under the 600. That's really good that I say that. If another way to get home ownership, if your credit score isn't a 600, you could contact a realtor and say, look, I got 5,000, I want a land contract. And it'll be a seller who self-finance you, like I know your credit score is under, or 9 times out of 10 is under 600, because if not, you will go get an FHA loan instead of coming to me. But land contract interest is higher, where FHA is 3%, conventional 7, land contracts be like 10. But it's still worth it, because you're still on a path of home ownership. You just want to get on the path of home ownership as fast and quick as possible, So whatever route is to get you on the path of home ownership, take it, And then after you take it, you just work off paying off that, debt as fast as possible, That's something you want to pay more of when you can, You pay as much of it as you can so you can get it paid off as fast as possible.
Alfred.
I guess you just answered it because you was talking about the whole credit score, but I was going to ask, what was the ideal credit scores in order to like buy a house?
Well, the ideal credit score, I would say to buy a house, you should be 650 and up. I would say that's ideal, But if you really want that, majority of people who are, I'm thinking Detroit when I say that, But if you want to go, like I say, above that 279, then you need to be, in the 700s or higher, 700s or higher, 700s or higher.
Yeah. This is relating like to the beginning. What caused you to like work? Because you said the gentleman's name, Mr. Young. What made you work with Mr. Young? Like, did you choose any other? Like, did you interview anywhere else, or like was it a calculated decision, or did you just say, I like that color of that company, the way the billboard looked, and the guy, the suit jacket he got on and stuff?
I chose Mr. Young because when I interview with companies I never interviewed the broker owner. When I interviewed with Traditional Realty, I interviewed the broker owner, him, and I was able to have a conversation with him, let him know my end game. And believe it or not, I took a pay cut to even work for him. I interviewed for Century 21, I interviewed for Keller Williams, and they both offered me a higher pay, if I went there than what he offered me. And I still went to him because I had the end game in mind, and he taught me so much. It was well worth, the money that I paid extra to be there. But it was because I spoke to him and I told him my end game, that I wanted to be a broker and owner of my own company.
Okay. Okay, cool.
I got two questions. Like you said, we get student loans. Is it a way that like, I know you could like pay the taxes on someone's home and then it end up being yours? Is that still possible?
Well, that through the auctions, absolutely. Like Wayne County every year has an auction. And in the auction, they have real estate properties where the starting bid will be the amount that they foreclose the property on, the taxes. So if they foreclose the property on $5,000 worth of taxes, they say starting bid is $5,000. People still could bid up higher than that amount, but they'll start the bids off at that amount. Where you can, if no one bids, you pay that amount, it's your home.
And, and my second question, I was reading something, they said that you can go down to like your city council, and then like they have a list of people that, like say family members passed away, it's like a big like list of their houses that they can't handle the pay, and you can like get it that way. You ever heard about that?
No, but I think what you're talking about a pre-foreclosure list. That's what people in the beginning stages of foreclosure is a list that you can get, I said, if you're gonna pay your mortgage in 3 months, the foreclosure process starts. Although it will take to actually fully foreclose, typically about a year to 3 years, depending on how long you've been in the property. But after that 3 months, your name and information is going to the county where people could go look at that like somebody starting to foreclose. And you can take that and go and contact them and send a letter and say, hey, if you about to sell you're about to lose your home, I'll buy it, you know, things like that, you know, because sometimes the house could be, you know, upside down, it's not worth it. Sometimes it could be where, you know, they just about to pick up the phone, call the realtor, and instead of calling the realtor, you call and y'all worked out the deal, you know? So I think that's the issue you're talking about.
I had 2 questions as well. So like, how do I join like an organization like the Reach Reality? Like how do like people like myself, like when I get out of college, join like an organization like that?
Okay. What you do is you go to real estate school and you pass real estate school, and then you interview with real estate brokerages. And Reach Realty Group is just a real estate brokerage. You know, when you hear Century 21, that's a real estate brokerage. Keller Williams, that's a real estate brokerage. Remax, that's a real estate brokerage. Reach Realty Group, it's a real estate brokerage. You know, and you just interview with them, and you interview with a broker or office manager, and they decide if they want to bring you aboard or not. You know, with my company, I'm selective who I bring aboard because I got to know that you want to mesh with the people that's there already. You know, and if I feel like you're a good fit, I bring you aboard. You know, because I don't look at it like I have a company. I look at it like I got a family. You know, so it's a little different with me. You know, so when I'm interviewing agents, I turned away 3 agents this year. You know, because when I got to know that you're gonna mesh with the family. One thing I can tell you guys is this: don't always do things for a check. Don't, if your reason for doing something is only for a check, don't do it. That's some real good advice I can tell y'all. You know, sometimes, you know, like I told you, I chose traditional realty. Keller Williams and Central One was gonna give me a bigger check. I didn't do that. I knew my end game. You know, you gotta think about what's best overall for you, not what's immediate, you know, so I don't do things for a quick check. I don't look and say, oh, more people, more money. No, I think with this person, you know, be the apple that spoil a bunch, you know, and if that person even give me any type of nuance that they may be, I don't bring them aboard, you know, because we're already winning. You know, only thing somebody could do, you know, is help us win or help us lose, you know. So, like I tell my office in our Monday meetings, and I say, we're the winners now. You know, we on defense now. We ain't on offense no more. We on defense, you know. So I'm on defense now, but that's how you actually join. You should go with real estate school and go to real estate school, and please, before you choose a brokerage, interview with us. You might be family, you know. You definitely might be family, you know. But that's what you have to do.
Okay.
And real quick though, the number one thing I want to get y'all the question, but the key to being successful in the real estate industry, 90% of that is choosing the real estate company you go work for. A lot of people go for the name and the fame, the companies they heard of, and they leave the industry. Being a real estate license is the number one license that lapses, meaning people get their license and have it for a while and lapse it and don't renew it. Nail technicians, barbershops, mechanics, nurses, doctors, lawyers, everybody get their license. Everyone keeps their license longer than a real estate agent. The reason why is the brokerage they choose, because you gotta understand, you gotta pay to be a realtor. How long are you gonna pay to do something and not make no money? You're paying to do it and you working. You working all weekend. I didn't work 50 hours this week, I ain't making $1. And look up, somebody say, all right, you owe me $300. I ain't making no money, I just worked for 50 hours. How long you gonna do it? It's sand in the hourglass. Everyone got a point where they're gonna give it up. Like, this ain't for me. I'm through with this. And that's why it's so high of a turnover rate. It's the 80-20 rule. It's really only 20% of realtors making money. 80% of realtors ain't making money. 20% is making that bread, but 80% is not making money. You know, so just understand, if any of y'all decide to become a real estate agent, the brokerage you choose is the biggest decision you will make. What's your next question?
Are paying student loans like increase your credit score? Like, do you know?
Yes, it do. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. That's showing that you can pay a debt over time.
Okay, because like I haven't graduated yet, so like it's not like I have to pay for it right now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So because D'Angelo, I want to make sure you get the full scope. D'Angelo's right now is an accountant mate. Can he continue can he go to real estate school while getting his degree in accounting? Or is that something that's going, can you do both simultaneously?
Yes, he can.
Okay.
Yes, he can.
Okay, my question, because when I became a new agent, I didn't know the difference of the two. Could you explain to us the difference between a wholesaler, a real estate agent, and a realtor? Because I remember this good girl was like, "Oh yeah, I'm a realtor," and I was like, "What brokerage you work for?" She was like, "I don't work for a broker."
I'll explain that when you sit back after this one, because you get in real complex realtor stuff, and then on this level,
We got to look for them too.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
You're going too deep, and it's about to be so over the head, but I'm still going to say it, you know. But you getting too deep with it, because this is actually, you know, a good friend of mine, and he actually works at Reach Realty Group with me. You know, actually, me, him, and one of my best friends, my other best friend, when I started the company, the day one, it was there to open the doors. Great guy. But the question is, what's the difference between a wholesaler, a real estate agent, and a realtor? A wholesaler don't have a real estate license at all. That's someone who sells real estate without a real estate license. A real estate agent is someone who sells real estate and has a real estate license. A realtor is someone who sells real estate and has a real estate license and is a part of a board of the National Association of Realtors. And that's the difference between the three.
Okay, so is it illegal to wholesale?
No, it's not.
Oh, okay.
But every state is different. In Michigan, you don't supposed to sell over 6 houses a year without a real estate license. So a wholesaler can sell to 6 houses a year without a real estate license. So say you wholesaling, you making 20 grand off each house. That's 6 houses. That's 120K a year. You see what I'm saying? So you can do it. Some successful wholesalers out there.
I'm gonna ask a couple questions, and then we'll take the last couple questions from the students, and then we're gonna transition to our next part of the segment. First question, I'll ask them all three. First question, I think before we started, some of the students got to hear about more of your personal life. So you can touch a little bit about your personal life, specifically like how life was growing up before their age, then to their age, and then how does your life look now, and then the difference. And then with real estate, why is there so much attention on Michigan, Detroit? How did that start? You got DJ Envy, SLG, people from China, all over looking at Michigan, particularly Detroit. And then last, if you can cover some topics of your books, and then we can take the last question.
Okay. Well, quickly about my upbringing. I'm from the east side of Detroit, 48205. If you guys ever bored, Google that zip code. I was raised in that zip code, you know, so no one can tell me you can't make it, you know. And I grew up, you know, for the most part on the latter end of being wealthy, rich. You know, I know how it feels like to come home and the lights out, the water off. I know how it feels to be heating the stove up in the winter, you know, to heat up the house. You know, I know about the kerosene heaters. But like it's, a lot of people had it way worse than me. All I said, I know that's poverty. There's people who never will know how it feels to come home and using all the lights is out and y'all using candles to light. People don't know how it's the winter to light the stove to heat up the house. People don't know that. So if you know that, you know poverty. It just is what it is. So that's my upbringing. And when I got into high school, things changed. My mom went to school and got a good job, and I was the youngest of the 4, and she was able to get rent an apartment right on the outskirts of Grosse Pointe, so I could go to one of the most prestigious schools, Grosse Pointe North, and that's when I got to see wealth. I got to see what money is, you know. I used to think, you know, if a guy had a candy painted, you know, Cutlass on 22s with some speakers in the back, so he was wealthy, he was rich, I want to be like that, you know what I'm saying? I got to see real money. I got to see real mansions and real, you know, wealth. And it taught me a lot. And it taught me you're gonna have to, you know, really bust your tail to be successful, you know. But I got to, you know, just to see it. Because the biggest thing, a lot of people don't get to see, you know, success. And the biggest thing is you gotta be able to see success and touch success and know, okay, it's attainable. I've touched it, I've seen it, you know, I drove in it, you know, I walked around in it, you know, and that's what Grosse Pointe did for me, you know. And from Grosse Pointe, you know, like I say, basketball took me to college. It didn't work out with basketball, but college worked out for me. And I got my degree. When I got my degree, I started working for my sister, doing property management. From that, golfed myself, became a real estate agent. Real estate agents in their first year sell 2 to 3 houses. I sold 23 my first year. And on average, full-time real estate and real estate agents and realtors sell 8 to 10 houses a year. That's to this day. You know, I've been selling, after my first year, I was selling over 40 houses every year since then. And I looked and seen what would work, and I said, okay, I'm gonna duplicate myself, and I'm gonna start a brokerage. I'm gonna teach everybody what I know. And that's what I did. I started a brokerage, and I brought people in. I told them exactly my system, and that system put us in the top 10. You know, within 5 years, we was in the top 10, the largest city in the state of Michigan. Detroit's the largest city in the state of Michigan. Within 5 years, I had a company that was in the top 10, and doing the numbers that I was doing and making 6 figures of salaries, you know, and making my company have a net worth that was worth more than $1 million, you know, and would put me into being a millionaire, you know. And then I've made even more smart investments that boost up my net worth even more, you know. And I went and I started to, you know, you run into a lot of the old homies, you know what I'm saying? And people want to stop and they hear your success. I do marketing in the city, so people see some of my marketing, and people want to, you know, good people I went to elementary or middle school with, high school with, you know, and they want to stop and they want to talk and kick, and it's people I love, you know, but I don't have time to sit and talk and tell everyone my story. So that was one of the main reasons I actually wrote the book. You know, I didn't write the book to make money or anything. I wrote the book to give back the game, you know, to teach everybody, like, this is the game right here. You know, I'm gonna teach y'all what I did, you know, and I gave the game away in the book. So when now I see, you know, one of my old buddies, it's not so harsh when I'm saying, oh yeah, you know what I'm saying, I'm late for this appointment, it's good to see you, everything good, your parents good, all good, hey, check out this book, you know what I'm saying, that's on me, that's you, you know what I'm saying, love, man, I'm gonna holler at you. It's like, okay, you're like, man, you gave me a gift, you know what I'm saying, well, I did, you look like you know, you're a busy man, okay, cool, you know what I'm saying. So, you know, that's what I did with the book, you know, and where I'm at in life, you know. I was able, real estate, you know, I went from nothing, like, I mean, when I say nothing, like, I didn't have no silver spoon coming up, and I got it from the ground up, you know, and now I'm blessed. I got 2 acres of land. I got a 5-bedroom, 5-bath, you know, 3,000 square foot house, you know, 3-car garage, my new Escalade, you know, I bought for my wife. Like, life is great for me. My bank account, I see large sums of money, you know, like, I've came a long way, and it's all because of real estate. So I love to teach, you know, the youth so they could use it as the same vehicle that I use to get to where I am in life. You know, 'cause a lot of times people just think you gotta be a rapper, an actor, a football player, or something like that to have a big house, nice cars, nice things. You don't. You can just do real estate, you know, and you can have that, you know. And, yeah, some things in my book that I talk about, chapter 1 is why real estate. You know, I go and tell you why you should be doing real estate. I break it down in a way that I explain stories in a way you can. And I wrote this book where literally you can take this book and give it to your 3rd grade sister or brother, and they'll be able to read this book. I didn't make this book to try to become a scholar and use big words and people, oh wow, what word? I need my dictionary to read this book. No, this is real cut and dry. You know, I'm talking to you. You know, the same way I'm talking to you now. It's in this book. You know, it takes me about 2 hours to read this book. Literally 2 hours. I can read this book. You know, and I explain in chapter 1. I explain why you should be doing real estate. You know, in chapter 2, you know, I say the chapter is called "If It Makes Dollars, It Makes Sense." I explain to you. You know, look, this is something you need to be doing. You know, in real estate. Overall, I say we need to get real estate. Then I say different assets of real estate you be doing because it makes dollars, so it should be making sense to you. Then, you know, if you're scratching your head, it's, you know, chapter 2 is the starting point. I tell you where's the starting point to start off. You know that. Yes.
I mean, I love the idea that you try to go for like people go into real estate, but like you have to remember too, like there's some people who would like to do these things like MBA and actors. Like I myself want to be an actor, but it doesn't mean that I'm just going there for the money. I go there because I enjoy something that I enjoy.
And I wrote that in my book when I put wild real estate. I put exactly you in there. I said, I'm not trying to disparage a person who would do their job for nothing. They love what they do. I wrote you. You're in my book. You're in my book. Literally, he's in my book. I said, I'm not talking about the person. I say this in my book. I said, if you ask a young boy, you know, do they want to be in the NBA? And they say, yeah, they want to be in the NBA. You say, okay, great. Would you want to be in the NBA if they made what McDonald's workers make? Odds are the boys say no. Then the fact of the matter is they really don't want to be in the NBA. They really want to be a millionaire. They want the millions, not the NBA. I say, now there's some people who will want to be in the NBA if they made McDonald's money because they love what they do. You know, I'm not talking about you. You know, I'm talking about the ones who would choose when they scratch head. If you, what do you want to do? I want to be a rapper. All right, great. If you could be a rapper and famous, to be cold and broke and sleep with roaches and rats, you still want to do it? No! Why you want to be? I want to be rich and famous. When I took away rich and famous, you didn't want to be the rapper. So really, you don't want to be a rapper. You just don't really want to be rich and famous. And you think rapping is your tool to get it because you think you're good at it. Or you may be great at it, whatever the case may be. So I just use that analogy for the ones who answer no. You, for the ones like you who will answer yes, that part wasn't for you. You know, I say that's not for you, you know, because, you know, I'm not trying to deter you, that I mention you from doing what you love, continue to do it, because that's truly something you should be doing. But for those who answer no, now I want you to start thinking about real estate. Because you said no to that. That means you want the money, and I'm gonna show you how to get the money. You know, so that's why I actually put that in there. You know, actually read this book, guys. This book, I've had someone tell me this book changed their life. The best compliment I received from myself told me that this book changed your life. And I got a chapter say get paid to do the easy work. You know, when I talk about flipping, reserve for the elite, I talk about title companies. I talk about growing pains of being a landlord. I talk about being a landlord, being responsible for everyone. I talk about being a broker and owner running the company. And right on schedule where I talk about my whole real estate. I'm starting to get to where I'm at now, you know, and that's the book, you know, where in there I give the game away.
We got those last two questions we had. Let's go with Will first.
What's another characteristic you would say between 80 and 100% of millionaires have besides being in real estate?
What I see is a pure desire to succeed. Because what people gotta understand, what comes with success, a lot of people don't know this is failure. I don't know no one who is successful without failure. You know, look at me, I told you I wanted to be in the NBA, I failed at that. I told you I wanted to be a rapper, look, I failed at that, you know? So, you know, but each one helped me become the man I am to this day. So it's about, you know, you never stopping, always keep going. So when you have a failure or something, don't just think, oh, the world's over, it's never gonna happen. Keep going. And I think that's the one trait I think, you know, all millionaires and so on have is they got the keep going attitude. Because when I hear other people's stories, they all talk about their failures too. And I know I got mine, you know. It's just, I won't stop. I'm always, you know, keep going, you know. So I think that would be a trick. It's just always keep going.
This is a personal question. Like, I don't know if people know about you or like if you're single or if you're married or anything like that. But how did your family life and what was going on with you with your family affect you and your real estate career?
Well, I'm married. I got 5 kids. Me and my wife. My son's actually right there. My oldest son. When you have a family as a man being a provider, to me is this. This is when you are, you know, full, responsible man when you have a family. Because some people got kids, but they ain't married. Just because you have a kid don't make you a man. You know, you got to do the 2 P's for all the mans out here. And all the men know the 2 P's are, right? Provide and protect. And so that's part of being a man. When you have a family, you got to do the 2 P's. This will make you a man. And once you get your family, your number one goal is to do two things. Always provide for your family and protect your family. And so, once I have family, like I told you, I got a wife and I got 5 kids, I got a lot to provide for and I got a lot to protect. So, you know, I knew I had to give my all at everything. I couldn't sleep in to just sleep in. I gotta get up and go get it, because if I don't go get it, it's not gonna get got. You know, my wife has been a stay-at-home mom our whole relationship. So financials has always been the burden for me to bring money on. And God has been so good where I've been, you know, able to do that effortlessly, you know. But yeah, that definitely when you have a family, that should be a big motivator for you to get out here and go get it.
Are any more questions?
Oh.
All right, D'Lo with the last question.
Okay, so like the reason why I went to college in the first place was not only to like make money, but also wanted to create like a non-profit organization like for the homeless, because like I really want to help, because it's always been a dream of mine to like create a system where people don't have to really live in poverty, I guess. So like I want to know that could I still make this organization while being real estate then?
Yeah, yes, absolutely. I got a nonprofit. It's called the Gentleman's Club, where young boys, my son's a part of it, and where we meet up once a month and we talk and go over things, and we go out and do different events where I'm just teaching young boys how to be a gentleman, so they can see, you know, positivity, so they can see a black male wearing a suit, you know, teach them how to tie a tie, you know, teach them, you know, that you will be judged on your appearance. Make no mistake about it. They say you can't judge a book by its cover. Okay, true. But people judge people off looking at them every single day. And you will be judged how people look at you. So I tell them, you make sure you're not dressed like a gangbanger, you're not dressed like a thug, because people don't think you are. And when them cops interact with you, that's what they're gonna think when they jump out the car. I'm dealing with a thug. Because you dress like one. So you gotta make sure that your image that you're giving is the image you want to portray. So just know what you're trying to portray. You know, so you know, you definitely could do more than one thing than just actually, you know, real estate. I can't do nothing else in this world. No, you definitely have your head in other avenues in the film. And real estate open up doors to allow you, you know, real estate, if you do it right, real estate will give you your time back. Realistically, all money really do, if you really want to know the truth, money allows you to buy yourself out of slavery. We're all sold slaves. You know, it's not the old slavery of our ancestors. It's the slavery of, you gotta wake up, you gotta go work so you can eat, you gotta go work so you can have a roof over your head, you gotta work so you can gas in your car, you gotta work. If you can get it, do this system right and get it where you got so much